O'clock, and welcome everyone to this March meeting for the rural city of Wangaratta. Clause 24 of the governance rules provides the following. This public meeting is being recorded to improve access to the meeting for our community. The recording will be published and will be retained by Council in accordance with Council's legal obligations. As a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. First item, which is the acknowledgement. It's my privilege to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of our wonderful land. We give our thanks to all our ancestors whose vision, determination, innovation and resilience built our prosperous, inclusive and democratic country. We acknowledge that we are the proud inheritors of this legacy, and we accept the challenge to continue to nourish and nurture our communities. And we pledge to work to implement and enhance opportunities for the benefit of future generations, our children and their children into the future. The opening prayer. Almighty God, we humbly ask Thee to bless and guide this council in its deliberations, so that we may truly preserve the welfare of the people whom we serve. We move to item number 7, which is the confirmation of the previous minutes. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Fuller. Someone to second, please? Councillor Benton. Thank you. Councillors, are we all in agreement? Thank you. Item number 8, which is a conflict of interest disclosure, and I believe Councillor Benton has a material conflict on one of the items tonight.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I would declare a conflict of interest in 38.1 and 2 of the rules.
Item
13.1.
13. Thank you. Are there any other councillors that might have a conflict of interest? Thank you. Right, we'll move to item 13.1, which is the reappointment of directors to the Wangaratta Livestock Exchange. Councillor Benton, you leave the room.
Move the declare a conflict of interest on the appointed directors.
Thank you. The Director of Corporate and Leisure.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 13.1 is regarding reappointment of the existing directors to the Wangaratta Livestock Exchange. The Livestock Exchange is a wholly owned subsidiary of Council, so Council is the sole member shareholder. And as such, it's Council's responsibility to determine reappointment of appointment of directors to the Livestock Exchange. So this report is presented to Council to consider the reappointment of 4 independent directors whose current terms are expiring, and that's for a term of recommended of 2 years. that you also authorise the Mayor and Chief Executive Officer to sign a record of the resolution to that effect, and that you then disclose the name of the reappointed directors included in the confidential attachments.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Ridley. Before I ask councillors to move this recommendation, do I have a question from the audience on this particular topic? No. So we have a recommendation, councillors. Would someone like to move? Councillor Fuller, thank you. Someone to second? Councillor Winters, thank you. Councillors, does anyone want to speak to this particular recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to acknowledge the work that the current 4 and potential 4 have put in so far, and the work they've done to create a very vibrant and prosperous livestock exchange. Thank you.
It's certainly come a long way in a short time. So we have the recommendation moved by Councillor Fuller and seconded by Councillor Winters. Are we all in agreement, councillors? Thank you. Councillor Fuller, would you please disclose the names of the reappointed directors?
Thank you. I'm pleased to announce the reappointment of Daniel Fisher, John Maraka, Doug James, and Justin Keane.
Congratulations to all the reappointed directors. Councillors, we now move to item 13.2, which is the Privacy Policy 2025. And again, Director for Corporate Leisure.
Council has a privacy policy, and for all our major policies we do scheduled reviews from time to time. With regards to this particular policy, the Audit and Risk Committee reviewed it and recommended some further inclusions and changes be made to this policy to make it clear and give specific examples to council staff on how to interpret the privacy policy. The key changes are listed in the report, the body of the report. So I will present this policy to council to consider adopting. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Do we have a question from the audience on this particular item? If not, councillors, we have a recommendation to adopt the privacy policy. Councillor Fitzpatrick. Someone to second. Councillor Winters, thank you. Councillor Fitzpatrick, would you like to speak to this straightforward? Councillor Winters, no. So, councillors, moved by Councillor Fitzpatrick and seconded by Councillor Winters. Are we all in agreement? Thank you. We now move to item 13.3, which is the instrument of delegations, council to other members of council staff.
Thank you again. Council provides a wide range of services, and under the Local Government Act, it allows for councillors to delegate decision-making powers and authorities to the CEO and through the CEO to members of council staff. And this allows for the efficient running of the organisation, so that not every single minute decision has to come to the councillors to determine, which I don't have hours in the day. We also receive advice from Maddox law firms. They update us on a regular basis of notifications of changes in legislation and updates that need to be made to the delegations as a result. So this report follows those reviews and presents the updated instrument of delegation to members of council staff for councillors to consider adopting. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Do we have a question from the audience on this particular agenda item? If not, councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move, please? Councillor Fuller, thank you. Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillor Fuller, would you like to speak to this, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's poignant that we note the passing of Val Gleeson, her funeral on Friday. Back in the day when some of these shires existed, they did all the work themselves. They'd sit around the table, perhaps even with a beer, and tick off a few boxes. We have a much more streamlined system, and this is a result of these instruments of delegation, which allows us to operate much better. So it's a very important document in the background. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Councillor Fitzpatrick. So we have a recommendation. It's been moved by Councillor Fuller and seconded by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Is everyone in agreement? Thank you, councillors. So we move to item 14.1, which is Award Tree and Arboriculture Services Panel. Director, Community and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is presented to Council to award contract C15497 for tree and arboriculture services. The Royal City of Wangaratta requires a panel of suitably qualified and experienced suppliers to carry out arboriculture and general tree maintenance services in accordance with the requirements of this contract. The purpose of this tender is to establish a panel capable of performing a variety of tree services, including pruning, stump removal, electrical line clearance, root control barriers, formative pruning, emergency works, tree inspections and report writing. The recommendation is that Council awards the contract to Arborescence, Inspec, Ultimate Arbor, Homewood, C&R Ryder Family, Northeast Tree Services and G&J Tree Services, and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to sign and seal the documents when available.
Thank you, Director Coonan. Councillor, well, I should ask the audience if anyone's got a question on this particular agenda item. If not, councillors, would someone like to move a recommendation? Councillor Maxwell? Someone to second? Councillor Benton? Councillor Maxwell, would you like to speak to this particular item? No. Councillor Benton? Yes. Councillor, so we've got the recommendation moved by Councillor Maxwell, seconded by Councillor Benton. Are we all in agreement? Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 14.2, which is the field services budget variation. And Director Goonan.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is presented to Council seeking a budget reallocation or variation of $223,000 from the operational project budget for resheeting works to the general ledger budget of arboriculture. This budget variation request is no additional funding over and above Council's current budget. Council is responsible for performing power line clearances in areas that it manages, specifically high voltage, low voltage and service wires. This work must be carried out in accordance with the Electrical Safety Act. As Council does not have the in-house resources to complete this work is outsourced via contractors. These clearance works are required to be completed annually. Non-compliance with this obligation may result in a fine. Due to several severe storms in late 2024, these works have been delayed and significant damage required clean-up. This also impacted our normal budget allocated to these tasks. The gravel road resheeting budget is primarily used to purchase gravel for unsealed roads, with resheeting of each road typically occurring between 10 and 15 years apart. It is proposed that instead of resheeting the 2 roads due for resheeting in the next 3 months, they will be graded but not resheeted, and this resheeting work will be planned in the 25-26 financial year. The recommendation is that Council approves budget reallocation from the operational project budget to the general ledger budget.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Does anyone have a question from the audience? Would you come forward? Well, you can stay where you are, but please stay where you are. And
Anne Dunstan through the chair. Is it possible to find out which 2 roads are being graded instead of resheeted? And is it also possible to have an understanding around that resheeting program? Are we going to do 2 in next year, or are we pushing the whole program back 12 months?
That's a good question.
And I do know one of the roads, which is part of the road, is River Road, but I don't know the other road, I'm sorry. I will find that out for you and send that back. Essentially what it means is we are pushing the whole program back by 2 to 3 months. So it's not 12 months back, it's just the 2 to 3 months back. We have been relatively lucky this year with the weather, with the dry weather, that we haven't had as significant impacts on some of our roads as we would normally see. But those storms have really impacted our ability to complete particular tree services.
And I think you mentioned, Director Goonan, that some of the roads were in really good condition, and that was one of the reasons why this was proposed. So, councillors, we've got the recommendation. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Fuller and Councillor Benton. Councillor Fuller, would you like to speak to the recommendation? Councillor Benton.
Yeah, I'd just like to probably add another Marcus, this in relationship to this tree is within the 60k radius within the townships as well, so it's some of the money still will be spent in the rural areas, not just in the CBD areas. And as you said, that it's only going to be a 2 or 3 months delay in relationship to the works being done. So I just like to put out that part will still be some other money spent within the, because the council is responsible for the trees that are in the 60k limit, as I understand it.
Right, councillors. Moved by Councillor Fuller and seconded by Councillor Benton. Does anyone else want to actually speak before I ask for the councillors to support the motion, the recommendation? So we all support? Thank you. We move now to item 15.1, which is the draft local law number 1, Community Amenity 2025, Director for Sustainability and Culture.
Thank you. Council's current Community Amenity Local Law, or Local Law number 1, came into operation in 2018 and is in need for review. Draft local law has been prepared and is ready for public exhibition. Changes proposed to the local law are documented in the report in the agenda and also associated attachments. Exhibiting the draft local law will provide our community with an opportunity to consider the changes proposed and to provide feedback.
Thank you. Does anyone have a question from the audience on this particular item? If not, councillors, do we have someone to move the recommendation? Councillor Bussell? That one? Councillor Benton and Councillor Bussell, will you go to second? Thank you very much. Now, Councillor Benton, would you like to speak to this particular recommendation, if you can get the thing working?
Just under item number 1, this point, the additional 30 days be added to the agreements with the second.
Public exhibition for 30 days in accordance with the Local Government Act. As that be included?
Yep.
Yes.
I'd just like to also add this amenities law is something that does affect rural people a lot, particularly with the movement of stock. Make sure if you are happy with it, to read it, make sure it does cover a lot of things in the actual activities that within the municipality. I know I'll get to drive one of these damn things. So I do urge everyone to just not push it aside, because it's something that you will probably have to use one day.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. Councillor Bussell, do you want to speak to this particular item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to support what the Deputy Mayor said. Please have a read of the local law and give some feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that some of the changes are around how animals are moved and how animals are kept. So I think it's important to look at the local law, because you don't know about the local law until you actually need it or bump up against it. So, councillors, we've got a recommendation moved by Councillor Benton and seconded by Councillor Bussell. Are we all in agreement with the changes of the 30 days of exhibition? Thank you. The next item is, obviously, Director Swart is the man, the draft community engagement policy 2025, item number 15.2.
Thank you. Councils are required to have a community engagement policy under the Local Government Act 2020. Council's current community engagement policy has been in place since 2020. A review of this policy is being undertaken and a draft policy has been produced. Officers recommend publicly exhibiting the draft policy, calling for community input prior to finalising the review process.
Do we have a question from the audience on this particular item? So, councillors, we've got a recommendation in front of us. Does someone like to move that? Councillor Winters? Councillor Fitzpatrick? Councillor Winters, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. I'm really excited to see that this policy draft is going out for a 30-day public exhibition period, and would like to encourage all community members to have a look through the draft policy, as this will be affecting the future engagement with the community. Thank you.
Councillor Fitzpatrick, would you like to speak? Thank you. Well, we've certainly been doing quite a lot of engagement over the last 3 months, and it's been a really enlightening exercise in so many ways. We've had some very, very interesting feedback, but this is the policy that sits behind the engagement that we do. So we're really interested to hear from the community in terms of what they see the policy and what it means to them. So moved by Councillor Winters and seconded by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillors, are we all in agreement? Thank you. We now move to item 17.1, which is the biennial audit and risk report.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. So this is a standing biannual report that's presented by the Chair of the Audit and Risk Committee, and reports on the activities and findings of the committee over the last 6 months. And that's just presented to councillors to note the biannual audit and risk report attached to it. Thank you.
We have the particular item. Does anyone from the audience wish to ask a question on this? If not, we've got a recommendation in front of us, councillors. Who'd like to move? Councillor Benton. Seconded, Councillor Maxwell. Councillor Benton, would you like to speak? Councillor Maxwell? Would any other councillor like to speak? Well, perhaps just to say that we certainly appreciate the work that the Audit Committee does. They do a lot of work overseeing, looking over council shoulders in terms of the work that we do, and we certainly appreciate their efforts. So we have our recommendation by Councillor Benton and second by Councillor Maxwell. Are we all in agreement? Thank you, councillors. Right, there are no minutes of advisory committee meetings, no notice of motion, no urgent business. We move to item number 21, which is public question time, and I have a couple of questions that were taken on notice from the last meeting. Question number 1, which was taken on notice from Rod Cogan, who asked the following questions at the council meeting on the 25th of February and assigned to Director Swart, and I'll read out the response from Director Swart. The question was, read C86, will the bores in the area be decommissioned as mentioned by North East Water representative? And the response is, North East Water has confirmed that wastewater management system proposed would have no negative impact on groundwater and that bores in the area would not need to be decommissioned as a result of this proposal. And the second question is from Jill Lindquist, who asked the following questions for council meeting at 6 p.m. on the 25th of March, which was assigned to Director Marcus Goonan for reply. The question was seeking confirmation that council's membership to the Alliance for Gambling Reform has been finalised as per Director Goonan's notes in the February council meeting. Please. Now, what that seems to be strange.
It's actually a new question for this meeting. It is a similar question to the one that was asked at the last meeting,
Right.
and I'm happy to answer that. So firstly, thanks for your question, Jill. We have progressed from the last council meeting's question, not as far as we would like though. We expect to have an agreement in the next week after an online meeting between officers and the Alliance today.
Thank you, Director Goonan. Are there any other questions from the audience? Yes. Just state your name and speak into the microphone.
Good evening, councillors. Alan Sampson's my name, and my question is, does the rural city of Wangaratta, as well as other rural councils and the MAB, have a plan or strategy to lobby the Minister and Government to significantly reduce the percentage of the increase in the fire services levy? The proposed increase has gone up over 180% from last year.
Thanks, Alan, for that. I'll ask the CEO to provide a response, but yes, we are lobbying the Minister, but I'll leave it to the CEO to give you a complete answer.
Thanks, Alan, for the question. We've been in discussions from a few different angles. Myself, Mayor Grant and Deputy Mayor Benton met with the Treasurer about 3 weeks ago, and it was one of a number of things that we took up with her, and we certainly talked to her about the concern we have around the impact of the increase levy. We don't necessarily disagree with the general principle, but it is, as you say, a pretty significant increase for people, particularly people with large rural holdings. So we certainly made that point to her. We also raised some questions around the inability of council to efficiently administer it as it was proposed. With originally councils were to determine who active emergency service volunteers were. We were supposed to determine whether people's places was their principal place of residence and apply some sort of exemption process, but we've been advised the government will take that process on as a rebate system rather than requiring councils to do it. In addition to conversations with the Treasurer through Regional Cities Victoria, of whom we are a member, we've gathered some data amongst the 10 councils to demonstrate what the magnitude and breadth of the increase will be for each of the 10 council areas, and we've written to government setting that out and expressing concern about the impact of that. And similarly, the MAB is doing ongoing work with both the Treasurer and people from Treasury and Finance directly. I'm not that confident we're going to make much difference at this late stage. I think the legislation is very close to being in place, and the government's expectations will be collected from the 1st of July. Council's obviously also concerned about the impact on our reputation, because a lot of people will just see it as a council charge, which it's clearly not. It is something we collect on behalf of the state government, and didn't get any input into the methodology for that. So through those groups we'll continue to raise those concerns, and we'll see how we go over the next couple of months, Alan.
Thanks for the question, Alan. Are there any other questions from the audience? James? No, James Neary at the back.
Yeah, James Neary, thanks, councillors. I just back on to what Alan's motion suggestion was. The refund that the volunteers are going to get, what Brendan said that the state's going to take that on, is it?
Yeah, so the proposal now is that everyone will get a levy charged to them with their rate notice, and will have to pay it. And then there'll be a process where eligible people can claim a rebate back from the government, presumably through the State Revenue Office. So I don't have the detail around how that mechanism works, but that in general, that's how it's intended to operate now.
Right, I thought that the council would have to do it. I was going to suggest to the council that we don't collect that money for the government, and so it's not double dipping in the system.
Yeah.
Certainly not to, but I think it's not that easy, is it?
No, the challenge for us is we don't actually know who active volunteers are, and we also don't know what property is their principal place of residence. We just don't hold that information, so it's actually not feasible for us to do that without significant involvement by the emergency services and others. So it is more practical for the government to administer that than it is for councils.
All right, thanks for that. I'd just like to ask another question with the grading of roads before the fire season. Some tracks, roads aren't graded at all, and we reckon that they need a bit of a touch up before the summer season. So what's the council's policy on that now?
Director Goonan.
Yeah, thanks for the question, James. It's one that comes up a fair bit. Basically, council used to be funded by the state to complete fire track, or what we call fire trail clearing. That ceased 5 or 6 years ago now. We now treat all roads in accordance with our road management plan. Therefore, a fire track doesn't get any work done on it at all. The way to request that, though, is through your CFA captain via, what are we here, Area 23, I think, and then up through the Municipal Emergency Management Committee. They meet once every 2 months, and they can direct council to clear a road if they believe it's required for emergency services.
Right, thanks for that.
You should know too, James, that this year council is undertaking a review of the roads register. So we'll be looking at all the roads across the municipality and their status and how council maintains them into the future. So that's a big body of work that will be done this year.
Just to add to that, we will be coming out and asking the community for submissions to that. So if you believe you've got a road that's currently not maintained or maintained to a standard and you'd like that increased, i.e. from a limited access track to an access track, then there'll be a process to go through for that with a clear set of guidelines, etc. So that would be the time to implement those roads. Just to be clear on the process, we're not going to be looking at every single section of road we've got. We're going to rely on the community feeding us information about roads they'd like to see reclassified.
Thank you, Director Goonan. Any other questions? Yes.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much.
Could you just identify who you are, Ryan, for the sake of the meeting procedure?
Just a couple of little administrative things. First up, I'd like to see in the minutes of this meeting that they record the death of an ex-mayoress and an ex-councillor in her own right, was Val Gleeson. Another thing is that I'd like a printed copy of the agenda to be available after 3:30 p.m. on Friday, just so you can walk in and pick it up. I don't want to go through the rigmarole of asking the girl and then she goes out and gets it printed and I wait. I don't want that. I'd just like a printed copy of the agenda available for anybody to pick up.
You're probably the only one that picks it up, Ryan.
Well, that's all right. We'll do it for me. I'm important.
Are you?
Yes. I'm the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. And I represent a number of paid up members. And I need the information so I can inform them of what council is doing. And the other thing is that I would like you to consider, if you are going to have a council meeting away from Ford Street, then you provide a maxi cab.
I think the whole process of having country meetings, Brian, was to encourage the people in that particular community to be very much part of the meeting. You know, they often don't have the opportunity of getting into the Wangaratta city meetings, and I guess if we were going to reciprocate, we would have to do that as well, and that would become a logistic nightmare in itself, I think. So we have our country meetings as a way of encouraging the local community to come along and see and have a chat to us about council issues.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, but I don't agree with you.
Okay.
I agree that I believe there's only 4 country meetings out of 11, and I think an action camp would be a good idea. You might come to the camp with me.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, thanks. Thanks for
No,
that.
I'm just asking you.
That's a question. So.
Yeah. Now, my real question of coming here tonight was about the parking. At the last council meeting held at the council offices, a motion was passed relating to parking and parking meters. Prior to that meeting, I had written to the council asking for a copy of the contract between the coastal and the council, so I could be fully informed and then discuss it with my members. I was advised by council that I had to go to the Freedom of Information, which I found quite ridiculous because the contract would have been about 15 years old. But anyway, I did that, paid me $32, and I went and applied for Freedom of Information. I got another reply back to tell me that I didn't fit the criteria and I couldn't have a copy of the contract. On the night when the motion was put, I asked you, Madam Mayor, would you leave the motion lay on the table for 1 month?
And I said no.
And you said no. I still don't know why you said no, but anyway, you did. That's your prerogative.
That's right.
I wanted that time so I could pursue the next level of getting a copy of the contract. But anyway, that wasn't available to me. So now I want to know, you had 7 hands went up in favour of the motion. I want to know what those 7 people based their opinion on. Were those 7 people all given a copy of the contract, which they would be entitled to because they've signed a confidential thing?
Yes.
So were they all given the full copy, or were they given an appraisal?
They were given the full copy, and there was extensive discussions around the issue that we deliberated on, and on that particular night we gave our decision.
I thank you for the answer, and I appreciate the fact that the councillors were given a copy of that. There's someone somewhere in my house, but I'm damned if I can find it.
Sure.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Any other questions from the audience? Well, if there aren't any other questions,
Ron Ferguson, a local resident.
sorry,
To the Mayor, the local roads here, the sealed roads, no longer get graded. The shoulders of the road don't get graded at all. So therefore, any of the cut-offs or run-offs off those roads never get cleaned out.
Yeah.
We also own a property at Bobberwarra, so the garbage is taken every Tuesday. So garbage on Tuesday was not collected. So what happens to those residents on McGuinness Lane that the garbage wasn't collected? They wake them up and you're paid for service. The other part of that is we have to put in a recommendation on the computer about road complaint about road. So Kneebones Gap and McGuinness Lane were the 2 that we travel on, so they were put on there. The grader was parked at the end of McGuinness Lane while they graded Kneebones Gap. The grader drove away and has not graded that road. We've asked for that to be graded before, and it got graded halfway, and that was the end of it. I just don't know which way you go about to find out properly how these get done. And what all of it, and if you have a drive at the moment over Kneebones Gap Road, the grader has done a great job of grading the road. Every culvert is blocked. Every culvert is blocked. We've just taken 230,000 off resheeting roads, and the reason we've got to resheet the roads is the water runs from the top of Kneebones Gap to the Cardboard Everton Road because none of the culverts are open.
Right. So your question, Ronnie, is?
What happens on the asphalt roads with them not being graded, the shoulders?
Yep.
What's going to happen to the garbage on McGuinness Lane?
Yep.
And is that going to be graded?
Yep. All right. Well, I'll ask Director Gooden to provide you with that answer.
I will take some of these on notice, Ron, and noting we've had multiple conversations about roads, whether it be out the front of this building and in other locations. As far as the unsealed shoulders on sealed roads, it's definitely an issue. And we are actually looking at a program for enabling us to do that in a more complete manner. That will involve some of the resheeting team, instead of resheeting for 3 months a year, starting to go around and do sealed shoulders, because it's something that we haven't done well. And we're not keeping up with, so 100% acknowledge that, you're 100% correct. We're looking to rectify that. I don't know anything about the rubbish on McGuinness Road, I'm sorry. I will find out and I will come back to you with what's going on there. And as far as grading that road, I'll have to look into that as well. I don't know the specifics of that road in particular. We definitely have a current issue with how we deal with the roads holistically. So exactly what you're pointing out. Our graders can't obviously go in and clean out the culverts and those sorts of things. So we need a backhoe to go in there after the graders have gone through or before the graders have gone through, depending on how we work that. We are actively working on that program, and that is part of the shoulders as well. So I think you're right. We've got some issues there that we need to work our way through, and we're aware of what those issues are.
Okay, any other questions from the audience? Well, if there aren't any questions to the audience here today, we've got an item of confidential business that if, I think what's the best way of doing this? We've got to formally close the meeting. We'll adjourn to the tea room. We'll conduct the item of business, and then we'll come back and reopen the meeting, and then close it, and then we'll be able to get together and do some conversation after the meeting. So I'll ask Councillor Fuller to do that, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move a recommendation that we close the meeting to members of the public in accordance with Division 3, Bracket 1 of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider the following item. Item 22.1 is confidential under the Local Government Act of 2020 as it contains information relating to council business information, being information that would prejudice council's position in commercial negotiations if prematurely released. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll just use Okay, thank you everyone. Councillor Fuller, we need to reopen our meeting and then we'll close it again. So.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd like to move a motion to reopen the meeting in order to close the meeting. Thank you.
Yes. And Councillor Fitzpatrick will second that. Councillors, are we all in agreement? Thank you, and look, thank you everyone for being here tonight and asking the questions and taking part in our council meeting. Thank you. Yes, well, yes, would you like to join us for supper? Absolutely.